So lesson 3 is thinking more about why there are variations in population change throughout the world. So we went through this work in the last video, basically highlighting and looking for patterns in different countries and their rate of population change. And what you should have realised was that the LEDCs, Bangladesh and Niger in particular, have very high rates of natural increase, the birth rate minus the death rate. Countries like Germany and Denmark have very low rates of natural increase, sometimes even going into negative numbers, such as Germany. But why? Let's take this picture as an example. It's a picture of a Yemeni family. Yemen is a country in the Middle East. It's an LEDC. So why do families in LEDCs have such large families? There are a whole host of reasons, some of them more obvious than others, but I'm pretty sure, because we've been doing this on and off since year 8, it should be ingrained in a lot of your memories. So there's the obvious ones like contraception. Access to contraception in LEDCs isn't as widespread. Governments can't afford to just hand out contraception to all its people like we can here in Britain. Also, infant mortality. Make sure you are fully aware and remember what the term infant mortality means. It means the number of babies that die before they reach the age of 5 in a country. Now, as awful as it sounds, lots of women in LEDCs have lots of babies because they are pretty sure that some of them are going to die before they reach the age of 5. Now, also in a lot of LEDCs, they need a lot of children later on in life, particularly if they're farmers, particularly if they are living in rural areas of some countries, because children, when they grow up, or even when they get into their teens, are going to help on the farm, going to help to produce more food and more crop. Sometimes the reasons are cultural. So in some countries, women are not expected to go to university, look for good jobs, earn good money, get a house like women are in Britain, for instance. And women, of course, are completely free to do that. In some cultures, that just simply is not the case. Women will reach the age of 18, 19, 20, they will get married, they will have kids, they will bring them up. That's that. Okay, so there is a whole different set of reasons why birth rates in LEDCs are that much higher than in MEDCs. But of course you also have to think about the death rates as well. The death rates in LEDCs are usually much higher. Why? Worse healthcare. Diets aren't as good. Lack of clean water, which can cause disease. Okay, so again, all of these things are things that should be knocking around somewhere in your brain for the last couple of years. So if you need to recall them in the exam, it shouldn't be too much of a chore. Just remember that you need to use the correct terms, the geographical vocabulary. Otherwise, you won't be getting the higher marks. So we can split countries into 3 what we call income groups. And we measure income by something called GNI per person, gross national income per person. It's the total amount of money that a country earns divided by its population. And once you do that sum, you get an average amount of money that each person, in theory, has in that country per year. So high-income countries are where people have $11,456 or more per year. Low income, $935 or less per year, and the middle income there in the middle of those 2 figures. Why do we measure it in dollars? 2 key reasons. The dollar is by far the most stable and strongest currency in the world. But why do we measure all countries using the same currency? Again, it's about comparison. Like the same reason why we measure birth rates and death rates per thousand of population. It's comparison. If everyone's measured in dollars for the purposes of this, then it means that we can easily compare different countries. Make sure you know some examples of high, middle, middle and low income countries, such as here. Okay, so Europe, North America, high income countries. As you can see there, generally a population balance. The population is neither decreasing or increasing significantly. Population increase, whereabouts in the world? Africa, Middle East, parts of South America and South Asia. Population decline is happening in Central and Eastern Europe and also Russia, reasons for which we will go into in a bit more detail in a minute. So this map here, very, very important map, generally speaking, to understand half of this topic. This is showing the global picture in terms of natural increase, and we can get some very important information from this map. The darkest colours are where natural increase is highest, where the birth rates are high. Africa really stands out here, but also Asia, China, India in particular, also Pakistan there, and Afghanistan particularly as well. If we move over here to South America, you can see Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, also Mexico here. And you can really see the north-south divide. North America, USA and Canada, Europe here, much lighter colours. If you look at the key, you're only looking at maybe a 1% natural increase. If we go over here to Russia though, really light pink. Either a no increase whatsoever or moving into negative numbers. So it's very possible that in an exam you might get a graphic like this and you would get an exam question like this, using the map, describe global patterns of natural increase. Okay? You don't need that much detail, you don't need to explain why either. It's not asking you to. Look at the command word, describe. Okay, so you'd pick out two key points. You'd pick out Africa and the Middle East there, and then you'd pick out Europe, and you'd just make a quick comparison between the two. Remember, use evidence, use the key. It's there for a reason. So quickly to look at a couple of examples then. We mentioned Russia just there. Reasons for population decrease in Russia. We went through a number of these points in the book. Public health is a problem in Russia. Alcoholism is a significant problem in Russia, and it's actually quite a key contributor to the decline in the population. It's meaning that death rates aren't really dropping, and the Russian government is having quite a lot of trouble trying to deal with that. It's a very ingrained cultural thing. Yemen, population increase, we went through that at the start. Things about infant mortality, things about contraception, things about culture. Okay, so in the next video we will be looking at an example of a country that is going through a population decrease. That country is Japan.